Hello, how is it going out there in Black Gay Comic Geek land? Welcome to my safe Gabe, everybody. Let me show off, for those of you that haven't seen it live, show off the tattoo right here. Welcome to my safe Gaben. First tattoo of many. Happy New Year. First live of the year. So, hey, how's it going? Thank you guys for joining me for another year here on the channel. But if this is your first time checking me out, whether it's on the live or on the replay, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek. And I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the four. So I like to talk superheroes. As you can see, I'm wearing my gamer shirt. So I like to talk video games, action movies, comic books, sci-fi, fantasy. And of course, I like to talk about Black representation and queer representation. So do me a favor. That's something that you're interested in. If you think representation matters, you think representation equals normalization, hit the subscribe button. But whether you're subscribed or not, if you're on this live, do me a favor, hit that like button. I see there's people jumping in on the live stream now. So thank you so much for joining. Hitting the like button to tell YouTube that this live is happening. This is the place to be, that it'll get other people to recommend it for this channel and things like that. So without further ado, we are going to get into the discussion. And this show is only like 2 episodes in, but even 2 episodes in, I am kind of confident to basically say this is probably going to be one of my favorite things coming out of 2023. And that is the video game adaptation, the HBO Max video game adaptation of The Last of Us. But if you guys are fans of, the channel and everything like that, I don't like to do these live streams alone. So I got a very special guest joining me here on the live stream. And it's actually the first time he's joining me on the stream. I'm breaking his Black Gay Comic Geek cherry. And this is somebody I've looked up to for a while. I've followed his content, followed his channel for a while. I've been a fan of his. And way back when, because now I'm almost at the 7,500 mark, way back when I'm still a baby YouTuber, but much, much smaller YouTuber. He still saw something in me where he's invited me on his channel several times. We've had great discussions, and we'll continue to have great discussions in the future. And that is my main man, Elliot.
Yo. What's going on, man? It is an honor, Michael, to be in the safe game, man. I've been watching from the audience perspective for many years, and now I'm officially here. It's dreams do come true, ladies and gentlemen. They do come true. I'm excited to be here, man.
It's a dream. It was a dream of yours to be here. It's a dream of mine to have you on. So
hey, it's gonna be a good time, man.
Disney did say, when you wish upon a star, dreams do come true. So
there you go. There you go.
With that said, for anybody that maybe hasn't been familiar with your work or anything like that, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Yeah, man. Well, Michael said it, man. I'm on YouTube doing movie reviews, TV reviews. We try to do some live discussions every now and then. I've had the honor of having Mike on my channel to talk Marvel, DC, movies, and other variety of things. So yeah, man, if you guys love talking about big blockbusters, small independent films, your favorite shows on HBO, Netflix, and having like I said, discussions about them, well, come and join me on MovieFiles here on YouTube. And I'm trying to be on Michael's level when it comes to the social media stuff, man. I mean, when it comes to the TikToks and Instagram, you guys can check me out there. But very excited to be here tonight to talk about, like Michael said, I'm very much the same camp that this is already 2 episodes in. Maybe the best show of what we're going to get this year. There's a lot of great stuff to look forward to, but so far, man, they're 2 for 2, and I'm loving what we're seeing so far.
Yes. You say you're trying to get on my level. I'm trying to get on your level. Like,
man, this man going to premieres. He up there at the premiere of this show and movies. So listen,
you're over like 20,000 on YouTube now. Like,
man, listen, I'm trying to be like you, Mike.
We're trying to be like each other. We're gonna lift each other up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
With regard in this stream. So with that said, since we are talking on the second episode, let me get your thoughts really quick, because I mean you pretty much already said it, but I still want to know, what did you think of before we jump into episode 2? And we are talking spoilers, so full spoilers. What did you think of episode 1?
Episode 1, man, and I know it's been said a couple times online as far as like pilot being one of the best pilots in many years, and I definitely attest to that. I mean, I watch a lot of TV, and some of the best shows in the last decade don't always have the best premiere shows, and some of the worst ones have the best premiere shows, and they kind of fall off after that. But this, to me, really struck the balance of the essence, the tone, the themes of the game that I got behind me. I haven't played it in quite a few years, but I have played through it twice, and it's one of the rare video games that I bought on PS3, and I bought the remastered version. So there's some empty spots, and I don't remember all the stuff, but I remember a lot of the breaking heart moments in episode 1 with seeing Sarah and how all that played out. Right off the bat, just being able to be in Sarah's shoes and her perspective in the first 30 minutes, almost, if you didn't know the game, you would have thought, oh, we're going to follow Sarah and it's going to be her story. But nah. They broke our hearts right off the bat. And even though I knew it was coming, it was just the performance. It was the way that they set it all together. It just was like, okay, we're in good hands with this show. So episode 1 to me just really let me know that we were in for something special. And then as we'll get into tonight's episode, as far as episode 2, yeah, this is it. This is the one, man. This is the one where it's been many movies and adaptations of video games, but none of them seem to capture the excitement of the game or the foundation of the game. But so far, man, these episode 1 and now episode 2, they're hitting home runs back to back.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I was a little nervous about the show when it was announced, because like a lot of times, like especially when it comes to live action video games, that we had things like Arcane, we had things like Castlevania, Castlevania and things like, we've had good video game adaptations, but a lot of them are animated adaptations. But when it comes to live action video game adaptation, you got like Assassin's Creed, which garbage, Uncharted, which wasn't terrible, but it wasn't
mid.
It wasn't good. And Tom Holland is not Nathan Drake, and what's his face is not Sully.
Mark.
Yeah, it's definitely not Sully. You had the 90s Super Mario Brothers, like even like something like that's somewhat decent, like the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider. It was good, but it wasn't like something that you would think of like the video game. It wasn't amazing. So yeah, like the track record of live action video games hasn't been that well received. And then also like when they announced like Pedro Pascal was going to be Joel, like as much as I love Pedro Pascal, he's Oberyn, the Mandalorian, I was still just like, man, they just got him because of the name. Like, I don't see him as Joel Miller. Like, what? But first 2 episodes, I'm like, yeah, he's my Joel. Yeah, that's my Joel. I love that. And beyond just the fact that he's Zaddy Pascal, because I said this when you went live the other day, I was like, dang, even in the apocalypse, this man is fine. But like, yeah, like I love his the reactions and the looks and the thing, the unsaid things that he does as Joel. And like even like his voice is different than how he actually talks. Like everything about like even the subtleness about like when the untrustful nature of like Ellie, when he grabbed Ellie to like after she saw that dead body at the piano, he grabbed her to help her, and like he like still jumped and he was like ready to punch her. Like just that like little nuances regard like I love it, and I love his. I mean, everybody's performance, but specifically him, since he was the one I was most worried about. I'm sold.
I'm right there with you, man. I mean, again, you just mentioned it. His resume speaks for itself, and we're so used to him and this whole, being in a galaxy far, far away in the last few years with the Mandalorian, and it's great to take the mask off and see obviously what he can bring to the table. And it's like you said, it's all the nuances in the face and the performances, the subtleties, the things he doesn't say that sometimes is just as captivating. And it all goes to, as you mentioned, the cast in general, but Bella Ramsey, Game of Thrones reunion, ladies and gentlemen. This young lady has really been impressing me as well. This is a lot of pressure because to me, Ellie was my favorite character in the video game. I love me some Joe, but she's the one. I loved her in the game. And I thought so far, Bella has really given me a lot of things to praise. She has just been fantastic in the role, and we're now on this journey with her and Joel that I'm excited to dive into. But like you said, Mike, the performances, Tess, Maureen, everyone so far on the screen, including the clickers themselves, has been pretty phenomenal.
And it's funny you mentioned, because Bella Ramsey, like in terms of like the look, she doesn't have the look that I would picture when it comes to the character of Ellie.
Sure.
But at the same time, like I think she's doing an incredible job as Ellie. And I was also excited about her casting. I was like, oh, it's not something I would have thought of. Granted, I'm not in the casting directing chair, but whatever. But I was thinking of Lady Mormont, you know, and I loved her as Lady Mormont. But I was just thinking,
little girl
like,
stole scenes with, you know, the big actors, Kit Harington and so on. She stole those moments. But yeah.
But I was just like, I'm thinking of her as a kid. And I didn't realize, like, even now, she's playing 14, but the actress, she's actually like 19, 20.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought
so
she was younger.
She's almost basically an adult, and she still looks like a kid, but she still captures a lot of that essence, that innocence. And she's doing it like she's doing a great job. Like, I love her.
I agree.
And she has the mouth. Because Ellie is always, you know,
smart,
always cursing, swearing like a sailor. But I mean, you grow up in an apocalypse. What's the curse word? Like, a child cursing is nothing. There's a lot worse things out there. But with that said, let's jump right into it. Talking about a lot worse things out there. So in the beginning of the episode, we jumped to, what was it, like 2 days before the first episode, which was September. And the only reason, funny enough, I remember that is because when the episode opened on episode 1, I was like, oh, it's September 26, 2003. That's the day before my 15th birthday. I'm like, oh, great. So the apocalypse happened when I was...
It all started with my...
Yeah, right before my birthday. So this episode opens on September 24th.
Yep.
Still Libra season. So I'm like, what they trying to say about the Libras? And in 2003 in Jakarta, Indonesia, and you see soldiers going to into a restaurant. They pick up this woman, and shout out to this actress. I'm not sure what her name is.
Me neither. I gotta look it up too. Yeah. Man.
Even just these flashbacks in general, like her real reviews. I love the flashbacks. Like, I love these flashbacks in the show. Like, hopefully every single episode opens with these, like,
oh, I would love that.
Previously on X-Men, like, you know, previously on The Last of Us.
Right.
Because like, and it also goes to show, like, it shows like a difference between, because obviously if you played the video game, they didn't show any of this stuff.
Right. It was just like news clippings, background, radio noise. You would hear some of the beginning.
And so now we're actually getting to see more of the backstory, which is also like something that's different, because, you know, a lot of people like to compare this show to like The Walking Dead, and things like that. And this is to show like this is a different thing, because they never really explain the zombie phenomenon or the zombie apocalypse on The Walking Dead. But in this, they're like explaining, it's like, no, it's a fungus. And it's a fungus based in real, like the cordyceps fungus is real. And this show is just basically saying, what if it can affect humans? And so you see her, she's a mycologist or something like that. So she's wondered, like, and then it kind of makes you wonder about the government of Indonesia, because when she's in the back, she's like, have I committed a crime? Like, are y'all about to have me executed or something like that?
Right.
And like, you can see the fear in her eyes.
First, like, oh man, what's gonna happen? Yep.
And so they're like, no, they bring her to this hospital, and they show her the fungus, and she kind of gives them like a snark look. And I love, again, this actress is great. Like, when they show her the cordyceps, and they're like, she's like, why did you use this sample? And they're like, because it was a human. She was like, y'all, like, you could see the look on her face, like, y'all are stupid. Like, cordyceps do not affect humans. And they're like, oh, you wait.
Man.
So yeah, that whole scene, like, I'm not gonna recap the whole, but like the whole scene, the moment where they cut the woman's leg, like the leg open, you saw like the fungus in her leg, and like the mycelium strands in the thing's mouth, and then like that. This is what I really want to talk about, when they finally got her in the room, and they explained, and it was just the soldier and the woman talking. And
slowly panning into the camera,
and the camera just like slowly zoomed into her face, and the music that was playing behind, like the sound mixing and the score that was playing behind her, as she both slowly started to realize that there's no hope for humanity. And we as the audience saw it in her face, like that whole energy in that room and the energy in that performance. Like, shout out to the actors, the composer, and then most especially shout out to Neil Druckmann, who made his directorial debut in this episode. And for those of you that don't know, Neil Druckmann is actually the co-creator and director of the video game. So he is heavily involved in the creation of this show. And that's also part of the reason what makes this show so good, because that's something that doesn't really happen. You would think it would be a no-brainer, but it's something that doesn't really happen that much.
Yeah,
Like,
to bring in the creators. And understandably so, sometimes it doesn't always translate well. Not all comic book, video game creators can translate their work into, feature film or television series. So sometimes you don't want to mix, the chef doesn't always fit every kitchen. So I get it, but you
yeah,
would
I
think
mean,
that you would get more of
I
the
get it,
info.
because like if I'm a book writer, that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean I can write a script.
Screenplay, right.
But at the same time, if I still wrote the book, I should still be involved in the making of the movie. I
Right.
shouldn't just like give you the rights and then y'all go do whatever you want, because then it's
Right.
not, then you have those terrible adaptations. Or like, for example, looking on my shelf, and you're probably gonna get mad at me with this, but like the DC movies.
There we go. There we go.
But like but you can agree with me on this. The DC animated movies are without a doubt always incredible and stellar and fire and great, and they capture the comic book magic and also still make a good animated movie. But yet at the same time, they never have any of the people that work on these animated movies working on the live action movies.
Yeah.
But it's like you already have people that do like already a proven success. Why not have them involved in the live action? And they actually did that with this show. And I feel like this show, and even something like The Sandman, which had Neil Gaiman heavily involved in the creation of that show, and that show was incredible. I feel like those shows, but especially this one, because this one has the bigger audience and the bigger fanfare. Like I feel like this should be the blueprint of adaptations going forward. But yeah, going back to that scene, like that scene had me shook.
Same here, man. What you think? Listen, I'm loving these two cold opens, and like you mentioned, I hope that this is something
when she said, bomb.
Yeah, she's like, bomb the city. Is like, what do we do? Yeah, case closed. End of the case. We gotta take it all down. But yeah, I'm loving these cold opens, and like you had mentioned, I love that it's giving you, even if you're not a video game player, it's giving you context, because like you said, in the video game we don't really get a full explanation like we got in these two episodes so far, and also from going back to that kind of Walking Dead conversation and just other zombie post-apocalyptic worlds, it's nice to gotta get the scope of what the world's going through, right? We're not just local in the US or local in New York or Boston. We're seeing, as you just mentioned, we're in Indonesia, and seeing how they reacting to it. So it just goes to show you that it is a global issue and not, again, just kind of focusing on one location. So I really love the scope that they're giving us there. And again, that actress, like you said, Mike, and very similar to Sarah last week, having that much pressure, you're not going to have as much screen time as the main stars or have a full.
So you got to make an impression.
You got to bring it. You got to bring it. And like you said, Neil, to be able to pull that out of that actress and for her to embrace the severity and the seriousness of everything was just damn near perfect. And I thought that scene was, you talk about just scary. It's just seeing her face and being like, there is no hope. There is nothing we can do except for literally terminate, destroy this whole city, which is just haunting to think of, to just imagine being in that room. She said that. So like you, Mike, I thought the opening set the tone for the rest of the episode and just was perfect, man. And again, I hope we get more of these cold opens, because it just, like I said, sets the temperature to the room.
Yeah, same. And the thing that also helps make the temperature a little colder in terms of like the frightening aspect of it is, unlike a lot of zombie apocalypse or movies or anything like that, you can always like take a step back and have a little bit of cognitive dissonance when it comes to like, oh, it's fantasy, whatever, something like this will never happen.
Right.
But with this show in particular, and the genius of this show, especially using like something like a real life fungus, like a cordyceps virus, and then on top of that, like in a post-COVID world, and in a world where we are experiencing human-caused climate change, something like this is very possible.
It's different. Yeah.
And that's something that I didn't even really think about until like that first episode with the interview where the guy it's like, yeah, cordyceps doesn't affect humans. Our body temperature is too high. And so it can't survive in us. But then when that guy was like, yeah, but what if the temperature of the earth is getting warmer? And I'm like, wait a minute, climate change is happening.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
So it's like this virus or this fungus can evolve to survive in higher temperatures. And if it does evolve to survive in higher temperatures, that means it can't affect humans. And then what? It's game over. So it's just like,
Yep.
Oh shit! Like I'm like, if this not a wake up call, that we need to get on the good foot and reverse climate change now, because there are fungi that can affect men. Like I was watching, I went down a rabbit hole of like, because I was like, this shit can't happen in real life, right? But like I found out there's like a fungus that can affect rats that like basically the same thing, like it zombifies them or whatever, and it makes them attracted to cats, and it makes them seek out cats because the fungus or the virus can only replicate inside cats. And so it attaches itself to mice, gets them to go to the cats, and then it definitely affects mammals. And so, you know, they be testing like before they do medicine and things like that. They be testing on rats. So it's like it's not that far from humans. So I'm like, this shit creeps me out all the way around. Like, but yeah, then especially when you get to the opening, the music and the crawl, and I'm just like. But yeah, Trice, I can't eat.
Well, I don't eat mushrooms as it is, but flour.
But yeah, but also with that, thanks for bringing that up. That confirmed a theory that was going around that said like the virus spread through flour or whatever. Right. She even said it's like a perfect substrate. Like
right. She mentioned the factory that people were working at is what people were.
So I'm not sure if it like even because it opened in Jakarta. I'm not sure if it like started in Jakarta. Right. That was like one of the earliest cases because they said, you know, because the factory, you know, the flour factory, like where the flour come from and all that other stuff. Right. And then it's like 14 people missing. I'm thinking, like, how did these people get from Jakarta to like the rest of the world? And I'm like, so I'm like, this is crazy. Like, and again, especially in a post-COVID world, like we ain't surviving.
Our radars are up. I would say,
like,
man.
COVID started in Wuhan, China, and now it's worldwide. Like, it's crazy, but yeah. Then after we get to the opening, which you know, best opening, we jump back into the zombie apocalypse with Ellie, Tess, and Joel, and of course
loaded guns.
Loaded guns. They probably were up all night staring at this girl, waiting for any twist. But I'm like, what if she like kicks in her sleep? Would they accidentally shoot her?
Game over. Joel ain't playing.
Game over because like, he was staring at her. He was staring at her hard. Like I love Pedro Pascal. Is like he's like protected, especially like how protective he is of Tess. Like staring at her super hard. She's like. Calm, like I'm not turning, but like any little movement, like she got up to go to the bathroom, he's ready to shoot her.
Can't blame him. You cannot blame him.
No, you can't blame him. He's lived the life, especially after what happened with his daughter. But like even with that, like the thing I love about this show, and also because I played the video game, and you said you played the video game too. Yeah. And actually, funny enough, because like the video game is very fresh in my head because maybe like 2 weeks to a month before the show premiered, I went back and replayed
the first one
because they remastered it for PS5. And so I still remember, like I don't remember literally every single scene, but I still remember the gist of the things that happened. And the thing because I've seen some criticism regarding this, and I want to get your opinion about this too. Yeah. But like some criticism regarding the show because it's so faithful and so close, and a lot of scenes are like 1-to-1 from the video game. Dialogue, everything is like 1-to-1 for the video game. There are people that are just like, it's not as interesting having played the game because now there's nothing that the show can do to surprise me, or like I know everything that's going to happen. I know all of the major plot points. I know who's going to die, who's going to live, how they're going to die, how they're going to. So it's like I'm not that excited about it. I kind of disagree about that, but I'll give my opinion after. But I want to get your opinion on that first.
See, it's for me. It's so this is easier said than done. I can separate the two, whether it's video game to adaptation on the small screen or big screen, comics to big screen, small screen. I'm able to separate those two. That I'm not so beholden to. Okay, even if it is faithful to the source material, and if they do, deter or go left instead of going right, I'm okay with that. Especially if it fits the narrative that they're telling within the live action version. So I'm totally with you. I disagree with it, but again, to each their own. If people are in their feelings about not being completely faithful or not even liking the changes they've made, that's their prerogative. But for me, I'm actually enjoying the changes. Even I'm sure we'll talk about the change from the game of the was it the scores, how they scientifically, again, as you mentioned, I love how so based in science, how they went around that in this series. So I don't critique it, and also to be fair too, like I played the game twice, but it's like my memory isn't as good as it used to be, so I don't remember every single thing. I remember some of the major deaths.
That's why I went back and replayed it.
Yeah. So I mean, again, to each their own, but I actually I don't see that as a criticism. I actually like the changes they've made so far because I think so far it's fit within the narrative they're trying to tell within this live action version.
But real quick, now I guess I'm gonna end up being infected because I'm still getting chicken and mushrooms on my pizza.
I'm good. Yes, I'm good. I don't eat mushrooms. So I'm safe.
So yeah, but you eat flour though. So like,
that's true. Mike.
Yeah, you can't have no bread.
Yeah.
So none
of
us are safe. But with that said, like going into why I think even despite it being like a 1-for-1 adaptation, the thing I like, especially in like this beginning scene, tying it back, is like I still love a lot of the quiet moments that you get, even more so in this show adaptation than you get in the game, because you don't have to worry about the gameplay element. You don't have to worry about constantly crouching and, looking for this zombie, or finding this. They have more time to actually flesh out and develop the characters, the world, the interpersonal relationships. And so with that, most importantly, especially for this episode, is building up the character of Tess.
Yep.
Who you don't really get a lot from in the game. You get you get a decent amount.
Right. But to kind of get an understanding of who she is, her personality, what she
but I feel like you get way more of her in this show. And then also on top of that, like all the Jakarta stuff, the cold open in the first episode, like that's not something that they introduced in the games.
Right.
Or like developing more from the relationship between Joel and his daughter Sarah, like seeing more of Sarah, so that when she ended up the fate that she ended up suffering, which is the same fate that she suffered in the video game, now you feel more for her, right? Because you spent a whole day with her character, you understand the relationship more, and you like everything about their relationship. And so that's the thing that I appreciate about this show more, so that I can enjoy and still have that dissonance of I'm not controlling. And then also like a biggest difference, I'm not controlling these characters now.
Exactly.
So now it creates a sense of anxiety, in a sense of like whatever happens, it wasn't my like even if like, because it's a thing in the game, like constantly dying, or you misstep and you get taken out by a clicker, but at the same time you're like, oh, that's kind of my fault, like I knew what I did wrong. But now it's like, don't do that, like don't go that way, like why would you do that? Why are you going upstairs? Like you don't have any control. So it's like it makes it more enjoyable because you don't know what these characters are doing, versus you do know what they're, because you're taking them upstairs, you're taking them down, you're guiding them. So I think that's what makes it a little different. But like,
I agree. And also, I want to touch on you mentioned about Tess. I actually, like you, I appreciated the nuances and a little bit of and again, the game Tess, a lot of fun. Enjoyed her, very much a hard ass kind of Sarah Connor type of characteristics that we got there. A little bit more brute, and this one shows a little bit more of that humanity to her and kind of that hopefulness that she has, especially when it comes to really believing in Ellie and this being the actual cure. So I really did appreciate those, like you mentioned, quieter moments that we get with Tess and the scenes she shared with Ellie. The only, I guess, if I do have a bit of a criticism, again, knowing that this was coming, I wish that we would have spent just a little bit more time with Tess, especially.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd have got like another episode.
That's what I was thinking, man, because it wasn't that the death didn't hit, and hopefully, next week we'll get more of it. But I almost wish that we would have saw that, the Joel spinning in that moment and them just really realizing, this person that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, in the game, it's alluded to that they're a thing and they've probably hooked up. And in the show, they let us know, she's in his bed, and, a lot of grown-ups when you're in someone's bed.
They don't, not really. They don't really go into it too much in the game. But
right. It's just a kind of allude to, but in the show, they've pretty much established that they are, they do have strong feelings for each other. So again, I do wish that we would have spent more time with her, especially with the actresses being so great. But even with
Anna Torv from Fringe, that was my show back in the day. So I'm like,
it's so funny.
And then also like, especially considering they cast Anna Torv, I'm like, I thought we would have got to spend a little bit more time with her. Like,
I wish we did.
Oh yeah, Vivian Hall. Like, no, it's not a strong criticism regarding the show. It's just
something you've seen,
things that I see a lot of people go, especially from like gamers and people that are fans. And then, but also on the flip side of that, like as much as us being nerds and us commentating on things like this, we're going live talking about the show, but like truth of the matter is this show's not for us.
Right.
it's not for the people that have played the game. Like, yes, they want to make people that have played the game happy. That's why they have, Easter eggs or like adaptations or things that are, for game players that are just like, oh yeah, I remember that for the game. But this show is for the people that haven't played the game.
Right.
This show is for the people that don't know anything about PlayStation or anything, like even like with comic book adaptations. Like, people don't like to hear that, but like Marvel and DC, they're not adapting these comics, because if only the people that have read the comics went to go to the movies,
would not be doing
these movies
the
would
numbers.
Not be making,
they would not be
movies would not be making money. Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame would not be like the highest grossing movies of all time. So like, they're not making it for us. They want us to be happy, because if people like us are happy, like I'm happy about The Last of Us, I'm going live about it, I'm talking about it, and then maybe it'll get people in my audience more excited to check it out. So it can help with that, but it's like, at the end of the day, they're not really making it for us. And so that's something that a lot of us don't really, we think it's all about us. It's like, oh, I'm not happy, or this isn't like the game, or the whatever. But it's like, it's not really for you though. Like,
the reason this show, I think I read today, is had one of the highest growth from episode 1 and 2 of any HBO drama series ever. And the reason that is like Mike said, it's the general audience is the ones that's watching it and really plugging in, and like you said, spread almost like the infection. They're spreading the word of the show. So it is.
Episode 1 already opened big with like 10 million. And that's like on the strength of like it not having like that word of mouth. And now, episode 2 has opened even bigger. So I expect episode 3 to have an even bigger audience. It kind of reminds me of like what happened with Empire. I don't know if you ever watched that show. Like,
I never got into it, but of course I remember the hype and the
season 1 was like the pinnacle of like, after that,
when was that? Was that 2015, 16?
15, 16? I don't remember. But I remember like every single episode of Empire just got big. Like, it was the first show in history that even up to the season finale, every single episode got bigger and bigger and bigger ratings, instead of it being a drop off.
Right.
And that's something that usually doesn't happen. And I can see that happening with this show, as the more word of mouth has got, like, even somebody like my brother who has played the video game, who has played both games, who has enjoyed the game. He hasn't started it yet. He wants to, but he hasn't gotten around to check it out yet. So that's, there's those people as well. So like, or people that are waiting for the season to be over to like binge it at the end. So like, this show is definitely going to be a phenomenon, especially going into like season 2 and things like that. But Ramon, we did talk about the flour and like having to go gluten. But I already said, I'm like, I'm gonna just have to be infected, because I'm still getting mushroom and chicken on my pizza. So but also with that, like, going back to what I was saying, like I enjoyed like the moments of comedy, despite the fact that like
the little bit of levity is much needed.
Yeah, despite the fact that like things are serious, and they let you know that shit is like, you ain't in Kansas no more. But like, just the moment, like when Ellie or Joel was like, she so much as twitches, and Ellie's like, and
I love that moment.
And Tessa's like, don't do it.
No, I love that, man. And someone actually mentioned the bread, going back to eat. I just thought about it with Ellie eating that fresh. I'm like, man, that's a really good looking sandwich.
That chicken sandwich looked like it came right from Popeyes. Like,
open up all the time. But it goes to show you that bread that she had on there, should have been more proof for Ellie or for Joel and Tess that she is, she is part of the cure. She's eating bread, and we know that they're sitting there eating whatever he was, dry ass prunes or something that Joe was eating,
or jerky.
So it should have showed them like, oh, she is different. She's able to eat bread. So no, that sandwich was fresh, man.
That's it. And that's the thing. I was like, where'd she get that fresh? And I know she said it came from smugglers, but I said, it looked like they just cooked that sandwich. Like, it didn't look a little bit molded. Like, it looked like it just came like fresh out the microwave. Like,
Mike, are you saying we got another Game of Thrones Starbucks moment?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what?
Was like, here,
I'm like, that sandwich looked way too fresh. Like, come on now.
Gordon Ramsay in the back cooking sandwiches for the show. Yeah.
I'm like, there should have been like a little bit of dirt on that sandwich or whatever. Like, it had ketchup and sauce. I'm like, where you getting sauce from? Like,
now they got the hookup.
Hold up. Her real reviews is like, hey, Michael and Elliot, can we talk about the title sequence callback to Game of Thrones? It is very Game of Thrones, like with the like there, and you see like the thing going through like the water,
navigating through everything,
going through the town, and that's kind of like that. Basically, like kind of almost the same thing. Like, you see the fungus going through
spreading.
spreading throughout the world. It's it's a great title sequence, and
It
especially
is.
like the music,
Especially
like
today's,
and a
don't get
lot of the
good
music,
ones.
like a lot of the music in this show, like again, the score
Spot on.
is incredible
Yeah.
with this. And speaking of things being incredible, once they venture off into the great outdoors in the world, like you see where the budget went
Yes.
in this show. Like they said, they spent more money on this show than all of Game of Thrones, which is
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Which is crazy to
Wow.
me.
I didn't know that.
Which is
I mean, it
crazy to me
shows.
because
Yeah.
at least because Game of Thrones, at least like they didn't start spending that money until like season 3,
Yeah,
season
took a
4,
minute to
season
earn that
5,
money.
until
Right.
it like proved itself.
Mhm.
Until it like started breaking box office record. But this show is like an unproven territory. Like, yeah, it's a popular video game, but would that translate into a show? Like this very well could have flopped.
Could have flopped hard. I
But
think
it just goes to show
I think
like
they knew though,
HBO,
Mike. I
yeah,
think
they
they knew.
definitely had to have known.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, they wouldn't have, and they were smart. They wouldn't have spent so much money if they didn't think. But
Right.
sometimes big risk. Sometimes you don't.
That's true. I think two things to that. Number one, I think it's a benefit to the show that they found HBO as its house to be able to put it on.
I don't think anybody else could have did. Like if this was Netflix,
this
show would have been garbage. Like you saw what they did with Resident Evil. Like come on,
they would have. Listen, man, it would have been not good at all. But only two people that said that might have been okay would maybe been Amazon, because they spread, talk about spending bread. They got money for days. And also I would say Apple TV. They definitely have the budget and they give their creators full reins. But I'm so happy that it's on HBO.
I haven't really seen a lot of Apple TV shows. I've seen Severance. I love Severance. But I haven't seen anything. I love
C. So many great Foundation. If you're a sci-fi fan out there, I'm a big Apple TV Plus advocate. But HBO is where they're the kings. Like I have never seen a bad HBO show.
Even in terms of like streaming services, like as much as I love Disney Plus and things, like HBO like has everything.
Jesus, yeah, it's cream of the crop.
HBO for me is the number one streaming service.
Their whole mantra is quality.
And also, I'm happy they kept the original score from the games. And so getting back to like the open world, like the CGI, like it was clean, like those buildings out in the far distance, those weren't real, that was a green screen, but like it looked incredible, and the world looks completely overgrown, and like the little crater areas where she's like, they bombed most of the big cities, and for here in Boston it worked, but for other places it didn't. That's why it explains why Boston was kind of pretty empty. But then also on top of that, it wasn't empty, because then you saw that moment where you saw all those infected on the ground moving together in a wave and showing that they are connected, and also getting to a difference between the video game and the show, which and actually something I think makes the show even more deadlier than the video game is, for those of you that haven't played the game, in the show, once infected are in a certain building or whatever, especially when there's no ventilation and things like that for a long time, they start to sprout spores. And so there's spores everywhere. And if you breathe in the spores, you instantly become infected, basically. And so anytime you go into a building or anything like that, you have to be careful, because you have to see if there's spores. And so if there's spores, you put on a gas mask. Of course, with Ellie being immune, she doesn't have to put on a gas mask. But in the show, they took away the spores because the show director, and this makes sense because it's true, the show director was like, well, that might work for a video game and for the gameplay and for the tension, but in real life, if there were spores, like there's no way I can't justify like it not spreading throughout the world, because spores, truth of the matter is spores would spread, like kind of like pollen pretty much goes everywhere. So he's like, I couldn't justify why there's not spores around the world. And even talk about something like Ramon mentioned, I don't know if you saw this movie, The Girl with All the Gifts.
That was on Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, that was on Netflix.
Yeah, it is on Netflix, and it was pretty good. And it's basically almost like The Last of Us. I think I'm not sure which came out first, The Girl with All the Gifts or The Last of Us, but they both deal with the cordyceps virus.
I remember. Yeah.
And so, spoilers for the end of the movie, but it came out years ago, whatever. But I definitely recommend you check it out. But she ended up releasing spores throughout the rest of the world. So it released in one area, and the wind carried it, and it spread throughout the world. And so I'm glad that that makes more sense to me that they took that away. But then on the flip side with that, now they, in a very scientifically based way, like the network, the spread of network. They call it I looked it up. They call it the Wood Wide Web in terms of like fungus, where like you step on fungus in one area, it alerts. It can communicate with another part of the fungus miles away.
Right. That's terrifying.
That is terrifying. So you step on one. So you can step on one place in one area, and you wake up a horde of zombies 2 miles out and don't even know about it. And now you have a whole stampede. They know where you are, and they're coming for you. And that's the thing I love about when Tess was like, you might be immune, but you're not immune to getting ripped apart.
Yeah, I love that line. Yeah. Kind of puts things in perspective.
God damn, like they really like the game is terrifying enough, but like that this little added nuance of thing that they added in the show like makes it even more terrifying. Which we end up seeing the fruits of that later on. But like, what did you think about that? Like the whole thing and taking out the spores and all of that.
Yeah, no, like you, man, it makes sense. And like you said, I watched a little inside the episode when the one of the co-creators was talking about that, and it made perfect sense. And it does make it even more scarier because you just don't know. Again, you can make one mistake and you think, oh, okay, we're cool. Or you might even taken out a runner or a clicker right then and there, but then you don't know the chains of events you just set forth for yourself. So I love that element they added in there, and it does make scientific sense to me. And also too, just from a more production vein side of it all, of course you don't want to have your actors wearing it, even though Pedro does it on a regular.
But no, it's funny. Sorry to interrupt you real quick, but it's funny you say that because like my first reaction, and part of me still kind of feels this way, like even though he explained like, it wouldn't make sense that spores wouldn't spread across the world. Part of me was like, nah. The real reason they took this out is because Pedro Pascal was like, no, I'm leaving the Mandalorian because I don't like because there was rumors that he was that he was starting to get upset that he couldn't take his mask off, especially when you had characters like Bo-Katan and things show up and they're constantly taking their helmet off and he always has to act with the helmet on. And he's like, y'all don't really need me here. This is just a voice actor.
And correct me if I'm wrong, as the show went on, he has the easiest gig in Hollywood, like because there's like 3 Mandalorians.
Yeah, there's three. Rarely on set sometimes. Yeah, he's rarely on set. He mostly just does the voiceover. So that's also why I feel like he was able to commit to doing this because like I'm pretty sure they're shooting at the same because Mandalorian season 3 comes out later this year.
It comes out like March 1st. So this is
not even later this year. It comes out pretty soon. So like they had to have been shooting. They had to have been shooting at the same time. So like to me, it goes to show like part of me was like those rumors had to have been true. So like he's like, oh nah, I'm not coming to this show for you to tell me I gotta put
another mask
over my face again, even if it's just for a little while. But like you know how television is, like even if it's just one episode that he's wearing a mask, that's still like 8, 9, 10 days of shooting. So he's like, absolutely not. I'm not putting on another mask. So y'all come up with some other shit. Come up with something else would take. That was my first reason. So I was like, he just doesn't want to wear a mask again. So I'm thinking it could be a little bit of that.
Most but again, even putting that aside, with the science being behind it, it's like at least they had a more of a reason that fits into the narrative versus the more vain aspect of actors wanting their face to be seen and to get their next gig. But no, again, I really do like that change that they added in there. Like I said, it does heighten the tension and heightens the fear of one simple, just a small little mistake can end up killing not only you but everyone around you. So I like that change.
And then not only that, but real quick, have you seen Chernobyl?
I have seen the first episode, and it's one of those kind of like Better Call Saul, where I love what I saw. For some reason, I just haven't went back. So I got to finish it to answer your question. I haven't seen it in its entirety.
So like after the first episode of last week, I went and binged
Chernobyl.
all of Chernobyl, and I knew of the like vague, just in the bare minuscule of like amounts of information, like that there was a life situation. The Chernobyl incident, like radioactive nuclear explode. You can't really, even to this day, you still can't go there. Yada yada yada. But I didn't know like what actually and the scope of how crazy things got. And like literally, the world could have almost ended. Like if it wasn't for the bravery of the people, people sacrificing their lives and putting their bodies and stuff on the line, like that radioactive waste could have gotten into the groundwater in Russia, and if it got into there, it would spread all over the world. Game over. Game over. And it makes me go like, why the fuck are we still doing nuclear energy? And then on top of that, it happened again in Fukushima, and some of it almost started leaking into Pacific. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, why are we trying to kill ourselves so badly? Oh wow!
You work at a nuclear plant.
I work at a nuclear plant. I mean, you're probably making
put
money.
Some game,
she probably making money, but Jesus.
Yeah.
But that's the sense of dread that you fit. And it goes to show like why Craig Mazin was the perfect choice for this show, because after watching Chernobyl and just how I felt watching that show, and then especially knowing that it was a true story. Obviously, you know, things were embellished for the sake of television, yada yada yada, but but most of it was real. And then they also showed, like, you know, a lot of times when movies or TV shows and things are based in real life, they show you like the clips of real people and everything. And then there's also a documentary on HBO, as well, that I watched right after that too. And so like just finding out everything that had like it was, and then like certain camera shots and like the way he moved, like it was all good. Like I definitely recommend you.
I will. I know I definitely will.
You could definitely feel the Chernobyl influence through The Last of Us, and it definitely was. Like he was the perfect choice.
HBO, man, again, they keeping it in house so far. They this is like the bullpen, you know, or like the minor leads, or you know, you get your start on Chernobyl, you get your start on HBO with Game of Thrones, and if you do your thing, we're gonna bring you back and bring us another hit. So I love that HBO is unless
you're D&D for Game of Thrones, because remember they were supposed to do they were supposed to do Star Wars.
Do not come back in here. We don't want.
They screwed the pooch on that last season, so they like, no, we don't.
I wonder how that, not to derail. I'm very curious on their Netflix show, because I know they're doing like another big kind of Game of Thrones-ish type of show on Netflix that has like a big book behind it. So we'll see if Hollywood believes in comebacks. We'll see if they can make a comeback with that Netflix series. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah,
but talking about speaking of like a comeback, not a comeback, because like if you haven't played the game, like you wouldn't know, but like we get to see the live action adaptation. My favorite scene of you can kind of see it on the background of this live stream. The clickers. So they couldn't go the way that they wanted,
right?
So they had to backtrack and go to the museum. And while going through the museum, you see like it's completely engulfed by the giant fungus, and so they have to make sure it's not a live fungus, because if they step through it, they're waking up that whole horde of infected behind them. And so they make sure the fungus is dead, they make sure it's dried up, but then when they go inside, they see a fresh body that's like completely mauled. And Ellie is like, what the hell? Like, I've seen infected. I've been attacked by an infected. I've never seen anything that could do anything like that. And Joel and Anna, Tess, Anna's her real name. They instantly knew it. They're like, you can see the look on their face, and they're like, from this moment forward, shut. Like, she's like, I don't hear anything. Quiet. Silence. Like, it became a quiet place after that.
Yes.
And like, of course, if you haven't played the game, you don't know what's happening, but you kind of know like, oh, what's about to happen. But me, I was just like, click, 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 click. One of the and so I was just like, oh, we're about to get. I'm excited. I was like, I'm ready. I was ready for the clickers.
We're in the game now. Yep.
And so as they're creeping up the steps, and again, going to the score, like the score that was playing, like the beating of the pounding of that drum, I was just like, oh man, how is this gonna look? I hope it does it justice. And I was like, I hope this isn't like straight CGI or whatever. I was like, please let it be. I was like, please let it be like practical with maybe like a mix of CGI, because that's like the best, like the way they do it in like Star Wars. I hope it's not a full CGI rendering.
Right.
But like when they got quiet, I got quiet. Like again, just like I said, just like A Quiet Place, I was like, I can't talk. Like they gonna hear me. So I'm like, So like when they were walking up those steps, you hear the creaking of the steps. I was like, oh no, it's a hit. And I was like, shit.
Right.
But then when they got into that room and the thing conveniently collapsed behind them, I'm like, of course. Yeah. I'm like, whatever. But then you heard that. I was like, and you heard that clicking. And the thing that I love, again, going back to what Vivian Green said, I am so glad they kept the original score. They got the original guy or the original person that does like the voice acting,
the sound design.
Of the clickers, and in many ways it sounded even more terrifying than in the game.
Yeah, because I mean, it's so much. Because again, like you mentioned, when you're playing the game, you focus on so much, you can't always take in all the nuances of what's going on. But with a show like that, when you're just sitting back and you're just watching it, you can really kind of take in all the environment, and all the stuff going on there. Yeah.
And yes, the clickers were fully realized and practical.
Yes.
Watching the inside the episode vignette, they were so creepy, and that's the thing I love. Like they looked way more menacing. It had more detail
Yeah.
in the show than they had in the game. And then on top of that, like the thing that made, and going back to also something that I mentioned earlier about like what makes this show still exciting, even if you played it, versus you like, you know, if you've never played it or whatever, if you had no, like, you know, the game, you're still like, what makes it still exciting? This moment right here showed me, it's like, this right here proves to me why this show is exciting, because for the most part, like, when you're playing the game, like, yeah, the clickers are dangerous, but for the most part, like, you shoot them maybe once or twice in the head, you're good, whatever. You
unless
take
you're
them
on
out.
hard mode or something like that.
Yeah, unless you're in hard mode, like, you don't really have to worry about the clickers.
Right.
But in this show, like, they were way more brutal. They were way more vicious. They were quicker. They were way deadlier. And then again, going back to the sense of control, like, you don't have any control of what these characters are doing and where the characters are going. And then, like, obviously, like in a video game, you can control exactly where you're aiming or whatever. But it's like in real life, you don't have, especially if you're running, you're just shooting. It's like no, hit the mother, like, and then like you gotta reload. And then even with the video game, like especially if you played the game, there's nothing more terrifying than like a clicker coming after you. And like if you got terrible aim in the video game and you run out of bullets and that thing is still coming,
get that knife, get the shiv,
and you gotta like, and especially with like, because like Joe, like if you don't have any shivs, you can't do it. You can't do anything with the clicker. So like it's coming after you. Once it gets you, like you're automatically dead in the game. Unlike with this, like what Joel was able to fight it off, kinda, or whatever. But in the game, like you're done. You're dead. You're caught. You gotta start. You gotta start over again. But like this scene was just like so much fun and like so adrenaline fueled that it was like okay, like I was in from the first episode, but now I'm like. I'm invested. I'm in deep. Like, and it was a big strength to the clicker. And who better than Neil Druckmann himself than to introduce?
I don't think it's a coincidence that they picked him to do this episode.
For the first time. But yeah, that reload in the corner. With Joel. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, please don't drop that flashlight. Please don't drop that flashlight. And then when he turned the corner, it was like right there, right in his face. And thank God that they're blind. It's like, yeah, but like, of course, Ellie, you know, would have been the one to give him. She's like, don't make a sound. She's like, or whatever she did, that which gave them away. But like, yeah, this whole scene. Yeah, what did you think about?
Listen, Mike, the MVP we talked about, you know, Tess, great, Joel, Ellie, the actors at the beginning, all that stuff's fantastic. But I think the MVP for me was the direction of Neil, but also the production team, because that recreating that sense of urgency, that tension, and just as someone mentioned earlier, the practicality of it all. I'm a big horror fan, and I know you are as well. And I'll take practical effects over digital visual effects all day. Even, you know, sometimes of course you got to mix the two to really kind of fully realize what you're trying to create, but when the opportunity is given to you to hire actors, to have the designs, to create them, go for it. And they did that. And I really appreciate that. And I'm just a sucker for, as you mentioned, the sound design. And I was watching it with my headphones on. And you can just hear every crick and it was amazing, to say the least. And also the lighting of it all too. Again, just going back, I rewatched it earlier today and just looking at the technicality of it all. That is a pretty hard thing to kind of capture, all that quick movement, fully knowing what's going on and be like, wait, you know, going back to our Game of Thrones discussion a little bit earlier, many times, you know, Game of Thrones is infamous for having very dark scenes and not knowing what the hell is going on.
I can't remember the battle at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's like
I couldn't see nothing. Like it was too dark. I was like, what's happening?
Might as well just close my eyes and just imagine what's happening. But in this one, you could see all the lighting was impeccable. The staging of it all was great. And like you said, Mike, just knowing that we were in the good hands of the co-creator of the game and how he was able to be like, all right, guys, if it is one up, I don't know if he's directing the other this season. Hopefully he is, but he's like, if there's one I want to do, I want to introduce the most threatening aspect of, well, one of the most threatening is obviously the humans out there are just as scary and threatening as the clickers. But if you're going to let me do this, let me do this one here and bring my babies to life. So I thought that this was just completely handled at the highest level possible. And again, just bring it in, and then you add in the acting, the performances of the situation. It was just cherry on top. So there's not perfect is a word that I rarely use, but that opening scene was perfect, and this scene was perfect, and this is why this episode to me just hits on so many levels, man. It was flawless.
I'm looking. It doesn't say so. Episode 4 is directed by a guy named Peter Hoare. Episode 3. Long time, and Craig Mazin wrote it. Craig Mazin wrote every single episode except for the first episode, which he co-created with Druckmann, and then Druckmann solely wrote episode 7. But it doesn't say who's directing episodes 4. It doesn't say who's directing episodes 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Gotcha.
And then episodes 8 and 9 are directed by somebody named Ali Abbasi. So yeah, I'm not sure if he's getting to direct another.
Gotcha.
Yeah, get another episode.
We've got season 2 to look forward to, and hopefully he can get his hands on a couple of those episodes. But I thought that this was he's a multi-talented individual. He did a really good job in directing.
Yeah, he definitely. I know video games how you start, and that's probably like his passion and love. But he definitely, if he wants to jump into film and TV directing, he definitely has a career. And based on this first episode, like I want to see more Neil Druckmann. But then I'm like, I don't want to take him away from video games. Go work on the Last of Us 3, right? Because like I'm ready for part 3, especially considering like, which I think is a little too quick because they say obviously the show's going to get renewed for season 2.
Yeah, have you heard the rumor of how this might be pieced together, how they might draw it out?
I heard that. Well, no, I didn't hear that, but I heard somebody saying that season 2 is going to be the second game. Right. But I don't think
I heard that season 2 is going to be ending on cliffhanger. So I read that season 2 will be based on Last of Us 2, but it's going to be split into 2 seasons, is what I heard.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like you can get 2 seasons out of the first game.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I know, if I'm not mistaken, this first season will be in the entirety of the first game, which, I'd agree. I think it's enough material to stretch it out to another season. But I guess they just doing it.
And especially, like, I feel like, and granted, I don't know, but like, I also kind of feel like it will kind of do it a disservice because I feel like a show would have a quicker production schedule than a video game. So like they could get out season 2. They could get out and finish season 2 before they're even done. Then putting out the third video game, and then you end up running into the Game of Thrones issue where the third video game isn't out yet, but they got to shoot the third season.
You don't have source material,
and now you don't have don't have any source material for that. So now you're doing whatever you want, and then it ends up not being as good or whatever. So it's like that I don't know how I feel. And then plus with Ellie looking, granted, the actress is older.
I was going to say, when you brought up she's 19, 20, do you think they would just bring her back?
I was going to say, but with her looking so young,
and
especially like the time skip that happens in part 2, like I feel like they should at least give it another season to let
House of the Dragon showed us one thing.
Her face or something like
House of the Dragon show. You can recast and capture
you can recast, but I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah. We'll see.
But,
we'll see.
Yeah, like because I would like to see the role that Ellie grows into. Like, but she needs to look older for me for that to happen. I mean, heck, put some makeup on her or something.
I mean, I'm just thinking of her in Game of Thrones, and obviously she was much younger. But from now, I mean, you could see the growth of her from that time to then. So who knows if they were to shoot a season 2 in 2027, 2026? I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, man.
Yeah, it's funny enough. She's 19. She was born on September 30th, 2003. So she was born
to play this role.
4 days after the whole thing went down.
It was meant to be. It
was meant to be. She's a Libra like me. Shout out to Libras. I forgot what I was about to say. But yeah, the Last of Us game was cutting edge concept design. So many post-apocalyptic film shows the typical landmarks. The balance between the familiar and the grotesque is great. Yeah, The Last of Us was definitely cutting edge, and it was one of the first major AAA games, which a lot of games are now following this blueprint now in terms of like the level of cinematic narrative that the games had, and that's also why it worked so well as a show. Because the games are very cinematic. Like it is basically like watching a movie. Except you're playing
100%.
And so that's also why like there's a lot of way like it's best to like don't if it's not broken, don't fix it or whatever. Like and so that's also why it's like they take a lot of the beats and the trends because it worked. It worked for the game, and it definitely can work for the show. So
and there was I know too before the show got greenlit, there was the rumblings about idea was going to be a movie. I think Sam Raimi was attached at one part. One part.
No, I definitely think it works better as a show than a movie. 100%. But like so, yeah, we get into the clickers. They take out the clickers. Yep. Big struggle, and then we find out that Ellie was bit again.
Yep.
And she's like, well,
it's one of us.
If it's gonna be one of us, it might as well be me. And of course, you see that look on Joel's face, the guard dog. I'm like, I love Joel. But
Yeah.
they even let me backtrack real quick. Going into that, like even like the little bits of comedy, like I can't wait to see their relationship evolve even more.
Right, especially
Like
on
you
the
could kind of
journey.
see like both of them kind of weary of each other, but still kind of wanted to get to know each other.
Mhm.
And like the quips and banter that they have, they're almost like the two sides of the same coin, almost in the
Right.
sense of like where like even when they first go into the hotel and like he's like, how do you even know what this is? He's like, have you ever heard of a book, dumbass? Or like when she's like, I can't swim, and he's like, seriously, and he like jumps into the he's like,
Yeah.
no, smart ass, or like the water's shallow. He's like, how am I supposed to know that? Or like you're a weird kid, or like when the two of them were talking, she
In
was
the
calling
hallway.
him
Yeah,
nice.
that was a great
Yeah,
scene.
it's
Yeah.
like, how did you learn to do that? And like the banter, it's like I can't wait to see like that relationship fully blow. Like I love the chemistry
100%.
between the two of them.
Yep.
And so going with that, like what I was saying about Joel having that guard dog look when she found out she was bitten again, and you see like he's going to test. He's like, well, she got bit again. What if it doesn't take or whatever? You see, like you instantly know that there's something different about Tess in this moment. And again, shout out to the acting. Acting is incredible. And the tour, like you felt, even though you didn't know what happened. But if you played the video game, you knew.
Yeah,
But
you knew she was bit.
if you
Yeah.
played the video game, you knew. But like, even though you didn't know what happened, you still knew that like something was different. Like you felt a sense of urgency that changed in Tess after that moment. Like even in the way she walked and her demeanor, like the way she snapped on Joel. She was like, "Can you just accept the win? Like the possibility that we might win." You're just like, something's up.
Yep.
And like again, like her acting. Her performance was incredible. Like I don't know if you know, like did you notice like the subtle?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, again, it shows into the performance. You said it perfectly. The sense of urgency. That this is. She even has this one point. It was like, this isn't my home, right? And she just like it's there. It's opponent. It's right in front of us. That there's something that obviously happened, which we'll get into with her being bit. But no, throughout again, I just can't praise these actors enough because again, whether it's having one scene or having 30 minutes of screen time or knowing that your episode by the end of the episode we're not going to see this character anymore, it kind of plays into the performance that they know that they don't have as much screen time or have as much to really dive into deeper in this character, so they have to put it all on the line. They have to give it their everything, and you see that in every single of these performances, especially with us shortly going to be losing Tess. So yeah, I definitely noticed that switch in her performance for sure.
And Vivian, going to this comment real quick, like regarding Ellie, like going back to like talk about how they will eventually adapt the second video game. And I know you said you haven't played the second game. I definitely recommend you play it.
I gotta get back in my gaming. I gotta get back in that gaming life. I used to be a big gamer, but yeah,
I can't wait to see the character of Dina, who actually plays Ellie, who plays Ellie's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And she's a major, spoiler. It's not really a spoiler, but Ellie's a lesbian.
I know a lot of some of the things were spoiled for me for the second game. One of the big ones, without giving it away here, but yeah.
Her main girlfriend is. I love the character of Dina. She plays a very big role in the games. Like it's her. Like how the dynamic of her and Joel. And the second game is her and Ellie.
Gotcha.
And so like I just wanted to bring that. Like I can't wait to see Dina show up on the screen. But yeah, like we're gonna
and to that point too, there is that mall scene. There is
that mall scene. We're definitely gonna get some backstory.
Yep.
On that. I don't know if did you play the DLC?
I haven't, but I know that there was a hint at Ellie's potential sexuality in the DLC.
Okay, so like the DLC was basically that backstory of how she got bit and the circumstances of all that. So this episode more or less kind of teased because we already know like that we saw it in like the flash. Well, if you know what to look for, you saw it in like the little trailer that they showed for the overall show.
Yeah,
we are going to see
cast in a certain role to
certain people. And I'm not going to say who for those of you that don't know, but we did see a certain person was cast. So for the people that played the game, we know who that person's playing and yada yada.
Not to give too much another Easter egg, but another HBO alumni. We'll just say that.
Yeah, another HBO alumni. So yeah, we're definitely going to get more backstory into Ellie and how she got bit and the whole. Does she have a boyfriend? And is a boyfriend coming after her and all that other stuff? So I would say stay tuned for that because it's a good story. And just like with everything in these post-apocalyptic worlds, it's not a happy story. But that's all I'm gonna say. But speaking of not a happy story, getting into finding out what happened, the sense of urgency with Tess, we eventually find out Hey, yo, Raheem, happy New Year to you.
Man?
Happy New Year to you too. It has been a bit. But yeah, we once we get to the Firefly zone that they were supposed to drop Ellie off to.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Like there was supposed to be like a whole fanfare. Like they were supposed to, conquer. Like, hey, you brought the chosen one. Like
right.
they're supposed
to
to get them your cookie,
Star Wars.
cookies and cake. They're supposed to get a medal and everything, but there's nothing. It's a ghost town, a zombie town.
Dead bodies.
And so they're looking around. They're like, "What's going on? Like, is this a trick?" Like, I see them look at Ellie. Like I'm like
you even see Tess when she grabs like this ain't happening, right? She that again, like you mentioned, a sense of urgency.
Yeah, that sense of urgency. So that's when she grabs her, goes inside, and that's when you see everybody's dead.
Yep.
And you find out that somebody got bit. Then that person bit another person. Then the effectors started fighting the healthy people, and everybody, ripple effect. Everybody died.
Yep.
And so now they don't know what. Now, what are they going to do? This is where they were supposed to take her. But now what? And so now that's when you see Tess freak out. Like, where were they supposed to take you? What's happening? What were they doing? Yada, yada, yada. And all Ellie knows is that they were going to take her somewhere out west.
Yep.
And Joel is like, you know what? I'm done. Like, we did what we were supposed to do. We took her where we were supposed to take her. I'm not going further on this journey. But and I think this is the strength of why you needed Tess to kind of go. Like she was the catalyst to help push him forward, and like that line, save who you can save. And it also kind of makes me want, almost like a hero, save the cheerleader, save the world. That's basically what it is. Save Ellie, save the world.
Yeah.
But like it also kind of makes me wonder, like, how long, because Ellie is the one that realizes, she's like, oh shit, she's infected.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me wonder how long, like, was Tess, I mean, I'm pretty sure she was eventually, but how long would she have kept it from Joel before? Because it wasn't until Ellie said something that she said something.
Right. It's a good question, man. That's a really good question. I think she would have probably said it sooner, than it wouldn't have been like,
because she was bit on the neck. And you saw that thing on the poster in the first episode. If you're anywhere above the neck, you have like a couple hours at best.
Right.
Before you transform. But the further or the closer you are to the brain, the less time you have. The further away from the brain you have, the max you have is like 24 to like a couple, like 24 to 48 hours. So like the person that we saw in the beginning of this episode that was bit on the ankle, more than likely they changed in a couple days. Right. So Tess, you could already see the effects. Like she was like starting to shake. So she only had a couple of hours, and she was already like it was already affecting her. Meanwhile, Ellie, who was bit at the same time as her, and you could also see like the look on her face when she noticed, like when she first saw that Ellie was bit, and she looked and she's like, "Oh shit, you were like you could see everything that like you were bit too." We're gonna like, and you're gonna see. And she was like you see, like how it's not affecting, like it's already affecting me, and hers is barely changing.
Right, and everything. Yep.
And like it also added a level to Tessa's character where she still has a level of hope that Joel doesn't have. Yep. And building more to her character to maybe just go like, oh dang, Tess, like I don't. Give one more episode. One more.
I wonder, and I'm just so curious, Mike. Do you think two things? One, do you think this show, or I don't know, season 2 or whatever, do you think they'll ever explore that 20-year, 2003 to 2023 with?
I'm hoping because there's a lot of story there.
Stuff there. That's what I'm thinking. And then the second thing is, do you think
will
be any flashbacks with Tess?
Maybe they could do like a whole spinoff with just Tess, and then maybe. What's his face could show up like towards the end because I know he's a busy guy. But like, or even if not with them, like just showing that 20-year gap because there's a lot. Like, how did we get from the a zombie or an infected outbreak to now there's quarantine zones and devices that can check if you're infected and yada yada.
I wouldn't be surprised when you talked about that season 1 to season 2 or season 2 to season 3. That's where you can put those spinoffs and all that and do what Game of Thrones. It took them 2019 was when it ended, and in 2022 is when we got House of Dragons. So that 3-year they might be cooking up something for like spinoffs.
Yeah, now there's like 12 Walking Dead spinoffs happen, but I'm just like nobody.
It's like that's too little, too late
Yeah,
for me.
it's
I'm
too
not
little,
gonna
it's
lie. I am a
definitely too
little
little, too
excited
late.
for Michonne and Rick. I am a little bit excited for that show because those are my two favorite characters. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
I'll
to check
check
that
that
out.
out. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm just like,
Doesn't Maggie and Negan have
yeah,
a spinoff
Maggie and
show?
Negan have a
What? Like
spinoff.
what? Who's watching that?
They're
Oh,
shooting in like New York. Like they actually
in New
shot.
York, right?
Yeah, they're shooting in New York and here in Jersey because they
Yeah.
shot right outside my brother's job, and so
Oh wow.
he took pictures and sent it to me. And
Yeah.
he works in like downtown
Excuse me.
Newark,
Mm-hmm.
and so they made it look like New York a little
Yeah.
bit. They had like dilapidated cars and trash and dead body things
That's
like
crazy.
things like that. So he took the pictures, and I'm just like, again, too little, too late. Like who can? And then also, The Walking Dead, didn't it become the Negan show anyway? So like
I was
like,
already out at that point. I
yeah, I
think
was
the
already
last
out.
season
I
I
was
watched
already
was when
out.
they introduced the trash people, or the
Like
garbage people.
I fell off. Like I watched a couple episodes after, but I fell off after the death of Glenn. I feel like that was too.
That's when a lot of people fell off. Actually,
That was a little too much for me.
yeah, the Glenn and Abraham. Man.
Even though I knew, because like I knew comic 100 is where that happened, but like just watching, I was like, it was. I watched a couple episodes, and like I watched to the winter finale, and then after that, I was just like,
going by then.
After that, I was going. I was like, I can't go back. But anyway, like we see, Tess, Tess eggs him on, is like save who you can save. Yeah. She sacrificed herself. She couldn't get that lighter. I'm like, come on, Tess.
Use the spark. Just put the spark on the damn thing. Which was, by the way, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a different sacrifice in the game than it was.
Yeah, it was a different in the game. Right? They were being chased by raiders,
right,
or soldiers or whatever.
So,
they were being chased by people.
Right.
And so she basically goes out guns blazing. And if you play the game, like if there's a way you could look, because he takes Ellie and they run, but there's a way like you can look over the railing. Like if you turn the character around, like you could look over the railing and see her get shot. And then that's when the guy looks up, they're up there or whatever. And then you got to keep running or whatever. Yeah. But that's
so I mean that makes me bring the question to you, Mike, especially if you remember the game a lot more than I do. Which death do you prefer, the show or the series? Or would I say the show or the series? The show or the game?
Yeah, I know. I prefer the game better, but on the flip side,
you didn't hear the French kiss?
Yeah, I was a little confused by that because I was like, what is that? Like? Because like the reason I prefer the game a little bit better is because like the horror aspect of like the actualization of like that the mycelium fungus, like they killed I was about to say a walker. That's not, they killed an infected, and just on the strength of that, it alerted a bunch of others around, and then like hordes of them just came to them. So like just that idea, it's like y'all are not safe at all. Like even when you think you're safe, you're not there at all. But then like, and so them running in and everything like that, and then plus they're more dangerous than like just a bunch of soldiers and thing like that, whatever. Because like, even if soldiers kill you, there's no like threat of like spreading or anything like that, or like, you get infected or whatever. But like, also with that, like, the otherworldly aspect of it, like the music, and then things like, but like the thing that makes me weird is like, that French kiss, where I was just like, I don't understand. And then the fact that she didn't, and not even just the French kiss, because I kind of get, my charger popped out. Hold up, let me put that. I don't want the next thing you know, my laptop, they'll be like, where'd Michael go? His laptop died on him. But anyway, so I kind of get the infected person walking up to her, because like she's big, so like it probably sees her as one of them, which also kind of makes me wonder, like, does it, I mean, granted in the game, no, but in the show, because I'm like, if it's all, but I guess since Ellie's technically not turning, it wouldn't know. Yeah, to see is she's one of them. Yeah, but like, because she's actively turning, I guess it saw her as one of them. That's why I didn't automatically attack her or like try to eat her or whatever. But like the weird, so like I get why it walked up to her, but like I don't get why she just let it and just like stand, because it's like she just like she froze in that moment. And in some ways it made me go like, is that somebody? Because I thought it was like she saw somebody she knew. She knew. Oh, that would have been that. Ooh, that would have made me hit. Yeah, damn. So like she saw his face, and that's why she like stopped and she froze, and it was like, oh shit, that's Ricky. But no, it was
There's
just
a
like,
spinoff, Mike.
yeah,
We're gonna find out who
yeah,
that infector was.
her and Ricky. That's why she let him French kiss her. Like,
Ricky.
yeah. If I'm gonna go out kissing Ricky. But like, I was just like, why did she freak? Like, she literally she stopped flicking the match at that point, and like looked at and then it wasn't until it started kissing her that's when she started flicking the match again. And I was just like, I'm confused. Like, I'm confused. Like, what is?
Yeah.
So I was hoping they would explain that in the inside, but I haven't listened to the podcast. Maybe they explained it in the podcast.
That's right. They do have. Yeah, I'm.
But yeah, what did you think about that whole French kiss? I did enjoy this better than the game, but at the same time, I did feel like the kiss was weird.
Again, and I vaguely remember. I couldn't remember how she exactly died.
And yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, I would have popped the grenade instead of.
Yeah, it was like she had all this stuff there. But you know, I think the show. It still hit for me because again, I wish we would have spent a little bit more time with her, but it still paid off because again, the actress really sold it. But like I said, my confusion radar was a little bit up. Like again, we got grenades, we got guns, use the sparks to the lighter to do it. But her performance, that stuff was kind of in the back of my mind because I was just so invested in just seeing, and also too, I can't even remember the shot by shot, but it was a shot where when the explosion happens and you can see the explosion in her eye. It was just, again, the technicality of it all was beautifully done, but it was just kind of like, oh, why is she allowing this infected to give her, I guess, the kiss of death? But still, the performance was outweighed the little nitpicks or curiosities of why things didn't play out the way they did. I thought she sold that scene for me.
Agreed. Like, yeah, and again, going back to the score, like everything in this show is like a perfect marriage and, you know, symbiosis from the acting, the writing, the directing, the score, the sound mix, like everything is making the show all come together and fly on like perfect. Like, as of right now, this show is like like it's, again, who knows what's gonna happen in episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whatever.
Oh, you haven't watched? Have you watched that? Because you got.
I haven't seen. No, I haven't gotten I asked HBO Max for a screener, and they said, unfortunately, as popular as the show is,
they hit me with the same thing.
Yeah, we don't have any more screeners. And I'm thinking in my head, like, the fuck you mean y'all ran out of screeners?
I love that.
You're literally sending me a link. Like, did you run out of internet? Like, how does that work? Like, you ran out of screeners. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And so I tried to guilt them. Yeah, I tried to guilt them. It didn't work because I was like, oh, that's unfortunate because as one of the rare Black gay movie reviewers that are out there in this space, especially considering this show has a queer element in it, it's kind of unfortunate that I wouldn't, you know, I'm unable to get any screeners or whatever. Yeah, like I give my perspective of it. Like, could you let me know like any queer reviewers that you gave it to with yada yada yada? Maybe I can follow their content or whatever. Or can you reconsider giving me the screeners? And they ghosted me. They didn't give me any of the screeners. I was like, dang, I thought that was gonna work. I thought I was gonna get them white people. like
damn, he right. We don't want a lawsuit.
But on the flip side though, I got to them a little bit because I did get an invite. This is separate from HBO. Like the day before, like on like I got like an invite to like a major screening in New York. So like I saw the first episode before.
Right, I remember. I saw you posted that. Yeah.
And then like the very next day, HBO sent me episode 1.
Gotcha.
And so now every week I get the screen. So every week I get the episode like a couple days before it comes out.
Gotcha.
So like I got episode 2 on Thursday. I was supposed to get, because now they say I'm gonna get the new episode every Wednesday, but this week I got episode 2 on Thursday instead of Wednesday. So next week I'll get episode 3 on either Wednesday or Thursday. So like maybe I kind of got to them a little bit, and now they're extending me a little bit, a couple days beforehand. But like everybody else, they sent the whole season. I'm not getting the whole season, but at least
man, you better than me. I got naps.
Take what you can get. At least I'm getting a couple days before. But yeah, I was like, this is trash. Like,
well, the reason I brought that up is because I hear, and someone even brought it up in the comments, I heard episode 3 is the one. Like I hear. I mean, of course, it's hyperbole online, but I saw someone on Twitter say that episode 3 is possibly one of the best episodes of TV they've seen in a long time. So again, you know, sometimes people just like the clicks and get that stuff out there. But I've heard a lot. Episode 3 is good.
The kiss isn't how I want to go out. I mean, no, like just thinking of like the slimy. Like even
I would have passed out. Man.
Yeah, like even you think about the idea of like eating, like even me, like I don't like eating calamari or squid or anything. Squid, it's like the slimy, like and like just think about the mycelium, like you can see the slime coming off, just that going in your mouth. I'm just like, Like it reminds me of that, that squid looking alien on Men in Black that ended up vomiting on Will Smith. That's exactly what that reminds me of. But
yeah, man.
Yeah, we see Tess went out like a gangster. party at Michael's house.
Yeah, there we go.
No part. Y'all can't come over here. Not then. Next thing you know, HBO finds out, and then they snatch the screeners that I'm barely getting already. But yeah, like Tess went out like a gangster.
Wow.
Yeah, but if you're gamers, definitely play the game. Definitely play the game. But yeah, Tess wasn't a good person, more or less.
Yeah,
and neither was Joe. They both say it, like neither one of us are good people. We've done some terrible things. We don't necessarily know the things that they've done, but yeah, they're not good people. And yeah, so just like in the game, Tess goes out in a bigger blaze of glory, literally.
Yeah, took out almost
than the game. Yeah, Tess goes out, and you see like Ellie. She didn't want it to have like. Of course, she's fighting. She's like, I'm not going, because really, truth of the matter is, especially like you kind of see like the dread in her when like you see like the pan on her when the music starts playing again, and you see the look on her face.
Yep.
And she's like, okay, like, what are we gonna do now? Because also, like, Tess was her main supporter. Tess was the one that was trying to connect with her. Exactly. Trying to connect with her the most.
On this road trip with this,
and now
dude is trying to kill her.
Now, and then also like the familiarity of having another woman, another girl with you, or whatever.
Yep.
And now you're alone with this man that already doesn't like you in the first place. That's already trigger happy to want to shoot you at any moment. That doesn't really have any connection with you at all.
Yeah.
And you're just like, fuck.
I might as well just stay in the building with her. But yeah.
But like, yeah, it was incredible. Like, what did you think of those like final moments? Or even like the moment where Joel realized like his friend, his lover or whatever, like Tess, his mentor, his boss, more or less. The person that he's been following, because she's like, he does what I say. Like he does what I tell him to do. Like she's gone. Like you saw like the tears.
Yeah.
Like when she started like putting the gasoline all over the place, and he's like, damn.
It's over.
It's over for her. Like, fuck.
It all comes together, man. Like I said, this is a perfect pendulum of seeing how we opened the episode and tying into how we ended it. Literally bomb everything, blow up everything, and we kind of essentially kind of tie it back in that sense. But again, it just shows you how cold and heartless this world is, because again, Joel didn't really get time to mourn, to really say his goodbyes like you would maybe see in a traditional moment like that, the kiss goodbye or I love you. It's like you gotta go, right? So it just kind of shows you where he is in this world. So I just thought it all kind of just came together, and I thought that the seeing Ellie too in that shot, it's just so many freeze that frame, put it on my wall. There's so many great moments in that, or this Ellie just breathing in with the explosion behind her. It was just a great way to end a great episode.
Yeah, as Tris said, it was another person he couldn't save.
Yeah, good point.
So,
yep.
And right here, I'm not sure, because he's like, so somebody would die in every episode. I'm not sure. It depends on how they do the show versus like, because not everybody dies in this world. Like there are characters that you get introduced that make it, that you see later on, or that make it that you never see again or whatever. So who knows what they're gonna do with this show? But getting into the preview for next week's episode, if you have played the game, you get to see the introduction of Bill and Frank. And the thing, again, talking about the differences between the video game and the show, which is very different, because I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. In the game, Frank dies, or not dies, but he's already dead by the time
like a corpse or something, right? You see like
he's already dead by the time Bill or Ellie and Joel get to Bill. But in the show, we see that that's not the case. Frank is still alive.
Yeah. And
then you're also getting to see, it looks like we're getting to see a little bit of a flashback of how Bill and Frank met, because you see him like walk into like what their territory, and he's like, what do you say? Like, you're coming for me for food or whatever. If I give you food, what's going to stop me or anybody else from coming here or whatever? So you're getting a little bit more backstory into Bill and Frank. Bill played by the great Nick Offerman. So that's another thing that makes the show different. But I'm excited to see what what goes on with with Bill and Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like
I'm so excited to see Nick Offerman. He's so great. And also, what's his name? Abraham. I can't think of his full name. The actor that's going to be playing him is great too. He was in The White Lotus and a couple other shows. Most recently, Chippendales. He's a great actor. So I'm really excited to see them.
White Lotus.
Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to see them.
But they definitely seem like good people compared to the game. Joel was way more ruthless in his PlayStation persona. I mean, Joel is ruthless here. It's just we haven't really seen, like, or not even. I'll take that back. We have seen it. Like, look what he did to the soldier.
Mm-hmm. Beat him to a pulp.
Beat him to a pulp. Killed the man, pretty much, more or less. And it was kind of like flashbacks of what happened to his daughter, because it's like I couldn't save my daughter, and now I'm put in the same situation, and so he snapped.
Yep.
And so, and then also,
to that comment, though, I will say there is a little bit of more for both characters, a little bit more humaneness to them, and a little bit more not as cold. I can kind of see where they're going from with the comment, but there's a little bit more to the characters, a little bit more nuance to their performance in regards to not as cold as they are in the game. I can agree with that.
And I figured Tess needed to go because Joel is on the cover.
Good point.
I mean, I guess good point, because she's not on the cover. It's just it's just Joel and Ellie, and that's really what the crux and the main relationship of this show is. And so, I think we pretty much got into like all of the main points of the show. But do you have any like things that you think that maybe that I might have missed? Or
no, man, as you always do, Mike. You're an amazing host, man. You hit on all the points, man. I think this to me,
amazing host. I'm trying to be like you. I learned from you. You know that Whitney Houston song, I learned from you.
Come on. No, man, I think we touched on all the main points. The acting's top notch. The direction of this episode was spectacular. The set designs, the sound designs, the creating the clickers was great. This show to me just continues to show HBO ain't nothing to play with. When they give you a prime time 8 p.m. 9 p.m. show, it's gonna be the talk of the town, and so far it has been. And it's such a, I'm always torn between the binging a show versus weekly. The older I've gotten, the more I've appreciated shows like this, the more I prefer this method of week to week, because we get conversations like this, water cooler talk, you can theorize, you can really settle into what's going on and take it all in. So I just think this show, and you said it very early on, this is the blueprint. I think that, and not that you can't do adaptations to movies, because I love going to a theater and sitting, watching the movie for 2 hours, 3 hours and taking it all in. But I think with a story like this, with characters like this, it kind of benefits to have a 9-episode, 10-episode, hour and a half type of storytelling. So I think, like you said, that this might be the, going back to The Mandalorian, this is the way. This might be the way to adapt these type of these stories in this type of format. So, like I said, man, 2 for 2, and I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us this coming Sunday.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like this show, like I said, is perfect. Sammy McClinton. I mentioned this in my review for Mayfair. I
saw your review. It didn't sound too hot.
I said this because I've seen the first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And based on those first 5 episodes, like the show's not hitting. So like, no, I'm not going to be reviewing every episode of the Mayfair because every episode for me is boring. And I don't want to be
season. Are you gonna like talk about it once it ends?
Maybe, I guess, because like I said, since I've seen the first 5 episodes, maybe of course I'm going to watch episodes 6, 7, and 8 or whatever. But I'm gonna wait for it to catch. I'm gonna watch episodes 6, 7, and 8, but I'm gonna wait for it to catch, and then maybe I'll do like a full season review. But I'm not gonna do like what I did with Interview with the Vampire and go live every week. Yeah, definitely. Mayfair Witches is not Mayfair Witches is not witching. As much as I loved and was excited, and that's the thing. Like if you were watching my Interview with the Vampire reviews and stuff, I was like,
I didn't even watch the show. I just watched some of your reviews.
I was like, the next show, Mayfair Witches. I'm excited. I'm gonna go live with Amanda every single week. We're gonna talk about it. And then I watched those first 5, and Amanda too. She was like, "Do you really want to talk about this show?" Because she's like, I don't want to. She's like, I would feel bad like bashing the show like the whole time, but it's like it's not hitting. And I was like, I feel the exact, like, it's not hitting for me. But I'm like, that excitement that I had for Mayfair Witches, I have for The Last of Us. So I'm like,
kind of worked out.
If anything, I'm going to end up going live probably for this show every week. I'm going to try. Like, I always say, I don't like to go live alone. But sometimes it's like hard to, find people to go live with. But we'll see. Like, maybe Elliot want to come back, or, if he's busy, try to get somebody else to join me next week. Or I'm just be like, fuck it, and go live by myself. But that's kind of the thing I fear, like, because God forbid, like I go, because especially if you're live by yourself, if the chat's not chatting, there's not much that you could like go off of, like you're just talking.
Yeah.
And then like, so that's kind of a fear of mine. Like if I go live, especially like even in the beginning of the stream, like the very beginning of the stream, it was like nobody in here. Then eventually, as we got more into it, that's when people started to show up. But like if I was by myself, I'll just be like, so yeah, I like the episode. And then I'll be waiting like 20. Then that when 20 minutes in, when people show up, then the comments start flowing. Then I'm like, okay, I can respond to the comment. So like that's one of my big fears of why I don't like going live by myself. Because at least if I'm with somebody, and there's nobody in the stream, like maybe people are busy or whatever, they could catch it on the replay. At least I can still keep a conversation going.
It's funny. I tried something to that point. I tried something new last year with the and it's worked out so far. I've done the whole idea of like, the whole community aspect. I've invited people from my audience to the live show, which the first time I did it, unfortunately, I put the link to the StreamYard in the chat, and some like bots got in there, but that only happened once, because ever since I've done that, people that's actually humans and people that watch the channel came in. So it can be nervous, but I tried that a couple of times. So that was something that was fun.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Jessica, that's my best friend.
No mushrooms.
Yeah, Jessica, that's my best friend. I keep telling her I want to get her on a live stream one day. She's like, She's like, I don't want to be on it because I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, that's perfect. That's perfect to why you'll be, especially because I also wanted to get, in terms of like, especially with this show, I wanted to get somebody that hasn't played the game. That's not
that perspective.
To get that perspective. And like both of us, we played the game, because I was like, you haven't played the game, so I would like, your perspective on the show. She was like, but I don't know, I don't do like live. I'm like, just get on the channel. I don't know. I'm still trying to convince her, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But either way, hold up. I'm super curious to see how non-gamers. Yeah, that's literally what I was saying. Like I wanted to get like non-gamers on here. I'm trying. My friend Fantastic Frankie, I'm trying to get her on the, like she's busy. Like she's too busy now, but she hasn't played the game. She hasn't played the game.
Oh wow.
So like I'm very like, so she knows nothing.
Wow.
Absolutely. She doesn't know like she knows nothing.
I've seen some of her Instagram talks.
I want to get that, like the perspective of like how like not knowing anything. Like, how do you feel? Like, are you lost, or are you invest? Are you like
have those deaths hit? Have the
how do those deaths hit versus like, because like when Tess died, it's like I knew it was coming. Granted, it still hit me, but it's still like I knew, like I was like Tess is bitten, like all like again all the major plot points I still know, but I'm still excited to go on the journey. It's no different than like me going back to watch like Avengers Infinity War. Yeah, I've seen it multiple times, but I still know what's gonna happen, but I still enjoy it thoroughly. Like I still get chills when Thor shows up in Wakanda. Bring me Thanos!
Every time, Mike. Every time it gets me.
Every time. So yeah, but with that said, like I said, I am super excited about this show. This show is like, again, 10s of 10. If they're saying, Beyonce reference, 10, 10, 10 across the board. But yeah, like more than likely I will be going live again next week, Monday, to talk about episode 3. And so hit the bell notification button so you're alerted. Make sure it's on there. Make sure to follow Elliot over on his channel, MovieFiles. I'll have him plug himself a little bit. But yeah, this show is like, and for all you guys in the chat, and then also if you're watching on the replay, like hit me up in the comment. Let me know, like, how would you rate this show so far? Like, what would your rating for the show be? Do you think it's the best video game adaptation ever? If not, what do you think is the best video game adaptation ever? And then also, if you played the game, how does it compare to your level of comparison to the game? And if you haven't played the game, like, and you are a gamer, does it make you interested in maybe playing the game, or like?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Or like all of that, like especially if you're an Xbox person,
that's
like,
a big investment
because it's a PlayStation exclusive. Are you like, oh man, now I need to get a PlayStation now so I can play The Last of Us?
Yeah.
But wait a minute. It feels a bit too much like The Walking Dead.
Oh wow.
I don't care about anyone yet. Oh wow.
There we go.
That's a different opinion, but yeah, I can see. I give it a 7. I give it a 7 out of 10. A 7. I mean, that's still a good score, but I feel like the thing that makes it vastly different from The Walking Dead is, again, going back to what I said earlier. artful variety. The Walking Dead, we didn't get any of like the backstory that we had in terms of like the start of the zombie crisis or the apocalypse, like, you know, where these characters were before, how it affected parts of the rest of the world, hints of like how the virus started, of like them saying like it came from eating flour and like everything like that. We never got any of that backstory. And then also the thing that makes this different from The Walking Dead, especially after we got to season 2, where in season 2 of The Walking Dead, we basically found out like there's no end to this. There's no end to this shit.
The CDC
you don't even have to get bit to become a walker. The moment you die, you're going to become a walker, whether you're bit or not. The only difference is if you're bit, you're just going to suffer when you die, versus if you die of natural causes, you're just going to wake up as a walker. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So like it basically says like this is the new norm, this is the new status quo. Like the world is basically over at this point. It's just about trying to make it day to day.
Yeah.
But the difference between that and this show is there is a level of hope. There is a level of end to this.
Yeah.
In terms of like the fact that Ellie is immune, and if she's immune, can they create a vaccine from her immunity? Or if she's immune, is there somebody else that might have been born with immunity as well? And then like if Ellie has children, will her children be born with immunity? So like it does there is a level, even based in the first episode, because we learned that she's immune in the first episode, it still lends a credence of hope, hopefulness. And that's what makes this different from The Walking Dead, in my opinion. Now, granted, people, no spoilers, but like there's some death. There's a lot of death. So there's a lot of that. Like, don't get attached to characters. Like, so it's a lot of like The Walking Dead in that aspect. But like The Walking Dead had no hope, and this show has hope.
Yeah.
And it's also a little scarier in the sense that it is based in real. Like something like The Walking Dead, you're never going to think it's zombies, all that. It's not going to happen. But something like this,
we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not here to see it.
Hopefully I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Either I'm dead, I'm in another dimension. I'm Doctor Strange, America Chavez, it takes me to another, or like I'm the aliens come and kidnap me and take me to another planet or something.
Yeah.
So
that's funny. That's funny.
What were you about to say?
No, I'm just saying, no, I mean, of course it's going to have those comparisons for sure. But even to your point, I definitely agree with what you were saying as far as the differences so far, 2 episodes in versus some of the Walking Dead stuff. But also, too, and listen, this is coming from a huge Walking Dead fan up until a certain point. But I think this show doesn't, and not saying that Walking Dead relied on the grotesque shock value, but they kind of played into that, you know, with the walkers and kind of the death of the week and kind of that whole kind of idea. You know, I remember in season 1 where Carol was looking for her daughter, and that was like a whole big thing. But like, I don't think this show has to rely on, I'm referring to Last of Us now, I don't think that show has to rely on those shocking moments, because the story, the characters, the journey we're going on, to me, is just almost as appealing to, you know, what's around the corner, the clickers and all that stuff. So I think it's definitely playing more into the idea of the narrative and the story and the journey we're going on versus, again, kind of the shock value that Walking Dead kind of played into. And again, I love The Walking Dead, but to me, it definitely kind of leaned a little bit heavier on the, you know, those moments of the week.
But really quick, Stinky Spice. Yeah, Bella Ramsey is gender fluid, but I believe she goes by, she uses she, her, and also they, them. So she said she doesn't mind either or. So, or they, but yeah, so you can refer to her or them as either or. It doesn't, yeah. If correct, I believe that's what I read. I wanted to get I wanted to get that right. Same thing. I left when Glenn died, but yeah. But we're not gonna talk about The Walking Dead. We can talk. Yeah. But yeah. With that said, like I said, yeah, I'm excited about episode 2. Episode 2. I'm excited to check out episode 3, and hopefully you guys join me again on the live stream for episode 3. And with that said, Elliot, if you want to plug yourself again, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, well, listen, like I said, for my folks at home, dreams do come true. I was once in your position. Everyone watching us at home, watching it, on your phones, your tablets, watching Mike doing his great thing on his channel. And now that I'm here, it's surreal. I think I might have to wake up. This might be all a dream, but so excited to finally be on his channel. Can't wait to talk more about whether this show, and we got a lot of stuff to look forward to in 2023 with movies, shows, DC, Marvel, all this stuff. So definitely be more conversations we have between us. But you all can find me here on YouTube talking about this show, talking about all the stuff lined up for movies and shows here on this platform at MovieFiles. Whether it's long form or short forms, I'm really loving the short content that I've been making recently, because it's just fun and it's easy, and you get all that good stuff. So definitely check me out here on YouTube and all the other platforms from Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. But again, Mike, man, I appreciate you having me on, man.
I appreciate you being on. I always appreciate interacting and collabing with you. And next we got Ant-Man and the Wasp coming next. Speaking of Zaddy Pascal, we got Zaddy Kang played
Who's
by
having a better year, Mike? Who's having a better year?
Jonathan May. Like, it's like a lot of like.
It's not even fair at this
point. There are like three actors that are like really collecting the bag this year. Or the last 2 years, and that's Pedro Pascal with The Last of Us and The Mandalorian coming out this year,
and the Nicolas Cage movie last year. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah.
And you got Jonathan Majors, who just had Devotion come out in November. Now he's about to have Ant-Man come out in February, and on top of that, he's going to be in Creed 3 as the villain
in March.
And on top of that, he's going to be playing Kang, variants of Kang in Loki season 2, which comes out this year.
And there's a film he got playing at the film festival right now in Sundance. I hear the film's okay, but I heard he's fantastic. Magazine something, or he's a bodybuilder.
Does that come out this year?
I think it's going to be picked up from what I'm hearing. The praises that he's getting, I think it'll be picked up by the end of this year. We'll probably be seeing it come Oscar season next year.
So Jonathan Majors is collecting the bag. So Jonathan Majors, if you're looking for a sugar baby, call me, because like. I'm trying.
Yeah, I thought y'all the picture. I saw the picture online when y'all were walking the street.
But that was just a one-time date. That was just a
Gotcha. He's all
I wanted to go to red carpet for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I got invited, but my money ain't looking good. So like Jonathan Majors, call me if you want a sugar baby. But yeah, him, Pedro Pascal, and then Jenna Ortega. Like, she had Wednesday, and now she has that hit broke records on Netflix, and now you got Scream coming out this year, which based on the trailer for Scream 6. Like, I'm excited. I'm still a little wary about Neve Campbell not being in the movie, but like. This trailer looks.
Ask people online. It might be a little bait and switch.
That's what I also think. Because part of me also is like, why would Courtney Cox do it and not Neve? Like, I feel like she would be like, if she's not going to do it, I'm not going to. Especially considering like, if Neve Campbell was like, no, they didn't want to pay me what I feel like I deserve. But I'm like, I feel like, because I'm like Courtney Cox though, like she's in the movie, like. I don't know, but so I do think it's a little bit. I do think it's a little bit of a bait and switch. Yeah. I don't think she's Ghostface like some people.
Yeah, I saw those. I'm like,
I feel like that would be a complete. Yeah, I feel like that would be a complete jump. Yeah, I would walk. I would be so mad. But I definitely feel like it's a bait and switch. Like they're definitely hiding something. But I'm excited. Like March is going to be a packed year. I mean, a packed month, because Scream comes out in March, right?
March 10th.
Yeah, so you got what hold on, let me
Scream. It's Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
It's something that comes out in the first week.
Yeah, it's I think Scream is the first one. It's the 10th, and then Fury of the Gods, Creed, and also John Wick Chapter 4. It's crazy. And then Mandalorian March 1st. It's like, what are we gonna do with our time? Every week there's something coming out.
Every week there's something coming out. Yeah, Creed. Yeah, Scream is first. Creed 3. So Creed 3 comes out on the 3rd. Scream 6 comes out on the 10th. Shazam Fury of the Gods comes out on the 17th. Then John Wick comes out on the 24th.
Very next week. Yep.
Yeah, everything is the week after. And then Dungeons and Dragons, which I've heard.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that's the end of the month.
Yeah, I've heard it's getting a lot of good praise. Comes out on the 31st.
Every week.
So every week. Every week.
Mandalorian's March 1st.
There's something. Then the show. And then when
plus this Last of Us will probably be like wrapping up the show as well. the first week of March, I think, or second week of March.
Yeah, so March is gonna be it's gonna be busy. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to.
No sleeping.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have time to review all this stuff. But anyway, with that said, guys, thank you again for joining me on the stream. Whether you're watching live or on the replay, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. Go over to Elliot's channel, hit the subscribe button, watch his videos, hit the like button. And with that said, join me next week. And as far as anything else, I don't think I got anything else that I'm gonna be reviewing that's coming out. So yeah, join me next week for The Last of Us. And we out.